The very first thing I was going to talk about was the storms. Marie is not getting hit right now, which kills me because I need somebody else to share my pain at the moment. But everybody, the whole US is just getting hit by winter storms like crazy. I think over the entire day, just today, we're supposed to get like 10 inches or so at least.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's going to be like freezing rain and all types of stuff. We're trying to figure out what's going on with work and everything. So, yeah, hopefully, there's been a lot of things saying like everybody's worried about power outages, gas issues, all types of stuff. And I really hope we don't lose power. Like we've got some space heaters and stuff, but that just sucks.
And that's what we were talking about last week, like being prepared for stuff.
Yeah.
So you have do you have like a generator or anything?
I don't. That is going to be a purchase this year for sure because we've over the course of the last year we've actually needed it for the first couple of times, and it's kind of just been one of those things. The only reason I haven't bought one yet is because at my day job we do a lot of little like prize things and all types of stuff. So usually he has a generator as one of the bigger prizes. So I'm trying to win one instead of spending because he'll every time he gets a generator, it's like a $500-600 one, and I would end up getting like a $300 one. It'd be some
Right.
cheaper one. So I'm trying to win one, and if I can't, I think I'm just gonna bite the bullet and get one because we've needed it, and I don't want to have to worry about shit like this. We got kids. We can't put them at risk just because we're trying to save a little bit of money. So,
Right.
yeah.
I get it completely.
But for everyone that is getting affected by it, it is most of us. Just stay safe, guys. If it hasn't hit you already, make sure you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to buy out the entire store and hunker down and all types of stuff. But just get some extra water. If you can get a generator, a small space heater that runs on battery powers or something, that
Flashlight.
yeah, having flashlights, simple, very simple thing. Have more than one. Have candles. Have a way to boil water if you lose power and the water's not working too. Don't rely on like if you have a gas oven, don't just rely on that because sometimes that stuff goes out. There are a million things you can do. Again, you don't have to go crazy with it and try and have everything possible. But if you have just a couple of things as like a backup plan, if you do lose power, it can actually really help you because you don't know how long you're going to be stuck. Otherwise, don't try not to drive. That's why we're being really, really careful because between the biz and my day job, we're driving all the time. Like in safety is the number one priority all the time. Obviously, we don't want the vehicles to get damaged and stuff like that, but I don't want someone to get hurt. That is always number one. So just be
Right.
careful. Don't make unnecessary trips. Make sure you're actually being smart when you drive. I know that that seems like such a simple and generic thing to say, but a lot of people just get out there and just be stupid as fuck on the
Now,
road.
see, I'm the opposite. I wouldn't want to go anywhere. I would want to just sit home because I already have all the stuff I need. I'm like over prepared for stuff.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, it's really not. It's okay to be over prepared because in a situation like this, if you don't have to leave your house and you can just chill, you're good. And
Right.
fortunately, we're in a little cul-de-sac too. So, like, if something happened at another house, people could come to our house, we could go to their house. So, we are in a good place no matter what. But this is going to be a long one, guys. It looks super freaking brutal, and just the way it's traveling, it's going so damn slow and it's long. Like it's just a giant stretch of bad. So everybody be safe. Speaking of Kim fur babies, keep the fur babies inside. Don't let them out for super long unless you got like a husky or something. You guys know the rest. But I wanted to mention that just because it's the first really bad one of the year, I think, for a lot of people, and I just want people to be safe. I don't want to hear about people freezing in their house or, who knows what happens. Like it just be safe, guys. Okay. The first big topic we want to talk about. Do you want to take it over and go talk about the New Year's unalivings?
Well, first, I want to get to Jennifer Shetfield. So, for
Cool.
those of you that might not know her story, she was a mom that was posted on TikTok. And she posted a video a few weeks ago just saying, like, hi guys, I'm going to be a new single mom
Mhm.
and I'm looking for tips to save money. And, I'm going to be doing it on my own. This woman was a very smart woman. She was going to school and educating herself so that she could
Mhm.
become a nurse practitioner, and she was very into her, she was a nurse already, like she, career driven woman.
Right.
And she thought that her husband was very supportive of the separation, and I guess it didn't go as planned, and unfortunately she got unalived and he unalived himself, and
Mhm.
they have a daughter. And I came across her video, and literally I went through this woman's videos and it killed me just seeing how much life this woman had within her and what she was capable of being in this world, to see that that was taken away. Because why couldn't you just leave the person?
We wanted to talk about this because this is one specific story out of what is turning into just dozens, and I mean dozens of stories of similar things like this happening. And it's
Since
kind
the
of
first of the year.
right since the first of the year. So
Right.
this is all in the last like 4 days. There's just been a ton of stories. So we were trying to figure out kind of why this is happening. And I think a lot of it has to do with one, there are more breakups at the beginning of the year than like any other time because people break up before and after the holidays, because Christmas happens, Thanksgiving, all that stuff. You don't want to break up with somebody like right before that or during and just ruin a whole bunch of stuff, deal with that drama. So people wait till afterwards and they kind of turn it into a New Year's resolution like, oh, I'm going to leave my man or I'm going to leave my woman on New Year's Day and just or the day after or whatever, just to start my new life fresh in the new year. So
Right.
you have so many of these people that are doing that at once. That is probably a large part of this, but at the same time, a lot of these are turning into unalivings. Like why? And it's not just someone unaliving themselves. It's someone unaliving their partner who is leaving and then unaliving themselves. In some cases, it's been that and then them unaliving the kids too.
There's another story in Rhode Island. But with the Jennifer one, it's heartbreaking. If you guys get a chance, go through her videos. I'm going to have Kyle put it in the description down below. But
Mhm.
it's Jennifer Shetfield. And just go through some of her videos, and you're going to just see she just was full of life and full of love and full of like God. And that's one thing that I know probably helped carry her over was her faith,
Yeah.
because she was posting a lot about her faith. And I just hope and pray that in that moment, her faith got her through.
And John mentioned why start off with tragedy for the new year. I I completely agree with that. I understand. Unfortunately, that is kind of the big thing right now. We try and get into positive stuff as much as possible. We try to be with the positive stuff all on the last one and everything. But unfortunately, just with the culture and all the news that goes out, that is kind of the stuff that is always focused on. And in a situation like this, it's really good to also talk about what healthy things can be done to actually help prevent these things. So it's if everyone's going to have to talk about the negative and have to talk about the tragedy because that's what gets the clicks and views and holds people's interest, that's fine. But we can also figure out the positive from it because there are ways that you can take this awareness and turn it into kind of a good thing for yourself and building healthier relationships with your partners. Because I mean, if you are one, if you're making that decision where you're just gonna break up with somebody, in the new year, first off, whenever you do that, it sends a message to your partner. It's like, hey, I've been planning this for a while. You just spent that money on me for Christmas and all types of stuff, and we're done. It was kind of all a waste. A lot of people, especially I feel like guys, it hits their ego a little bit more. Like, oh, you've just been dragging me along and you used me for more things and all types of stuff. I feel like guys are going to get a little bit more hurt from stuff like that. And you have to be smart about how you approach it. You
Right.
can't.
And a lot of times people say you have to be you have to silently do it instead of doing it like out loud. You have to make a silent escape plan instead of being so vocal about it because
Sure.
that's where the domestic violence comes into place.
And that's hard too, because do you really think you should go silently? Because that's gonna make someone go crazier.
I absolutely, because if you try it any other way and you keep telling someone, like, I do not want to be with you, I do not want to be with you, and that person just doesn't leave, then you absolutely have to make a silent plan because you have no other way out.
Yeah, but that's different. That's like I'm
But
telling.
also with domestic violence, I don't know, ladies, chime in. Tanya, help me out here. Because I feel like a lot of times women have to make that silent plan instead of being so vocal about it.
Okay, I see what you're saying. In a domestic violence situation where someone is being beaten or something, yes,
Right.
absolutely, 100% agree. I didn't know that's what you're talking about.
Right. Like I'm talking about like mental abuse, physical abuse,
Right.
like a DV situation. It's
Right.
better to go quiet than to be vocal about it because then they could plan whatever they want to plan.
Right. You cannot be vocal in a situation like that. There is no talking to the person that's abusing you
Correct.
and stuff. Yeah, 100%. I'm talking about the people that are just like everyday people that aren't being abused. Like the relationship itself just isn't working out. Because then you think as part of that relationship, everything is fine, everything's going to be okay, there's no issues whatsoever, and then your partner just dips, and it's like that can actually mentally break someone. Now if you sit down and say, hey, we've been dating for the past 5 years, maybe we have a kid together, just to make it a little bit harder, I feel like we're growing apart. I
Right.
feel like, this is happening, money's tight, just everything's getting harder, and I don't know why. And I think the right move is to split. Now, most healthy-ish relationships, even if they are ending, are going to say, all right, hey, maybe we should seek counseling. Maybe we should try and talk this out. You can go through a couple of different processes, but it's like just blindsiding somebody with that, because you can always feel like a relationship is done just because maybe you lost something and the other person hasn't. You know what I
See,
mean?
this is the thing. I got to argue this. I got to argue this with you. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I feel like as a woman, women detach way sooner emotionally from a relationship than a man. Like
Yeah.
when we're done, we were done a long time before you're gone. Like we were
Sure.
done.
And it depends on the person. Yes, women do detach way before. Um, but even still, like, that open communication should still be there, and that conversation should still be able to be had. And if the guy tries saying, "Hey, I want to go get counseling and do all this," and the woman is like, "Hey, I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been trying to make things work, and I don't think any of that is worth it." You kind of just have to figure it out. If there's a kid involved, while you guys are still amicable and everything is okay, you have to figure out that stuff with the kids, because once you start fighting, once you start leaving, once everything does start getting a little bit messy, that you can't have those conversations as easily. So
Right.
yeah, I completely agree. And there are some guys that are like that, because I feel like guys end up, you know what? It's not just guys. I feel like a lot of people who detach early on, those are the ones that actually end up cheating too. and then it's a whole lot more of a mess because then you find out the other person's going behind your back and all types of stuff.
A lot of it, though, with all these situations, really boils down to mental health. People are struggling tremendously right now with their mental health.
Yeah.
You know, Christmas, the stress of the holidays, the stress of pleasing everyone,
Yep.
making everyone happy, the stress of knowing like what you got to do this next year, and the finances. Like people are financially tapped right now.
Which I understand those things impacting a relationship, but like, why are you unaliving your partner?
Right.
It doesn't matter how hurt you are. Where is that shit coming from? Like, if I
Mental health, unresolved
can,
mental health issues.
but like that is, I'm telling you, and we talked about this last time, that is turning into the answer for so many people.
It's the truth, but you know what? So many people are struggling right now, and there's not the resources that they don't have the resources that they need. And
Hmm.
it's hard to get these resources. Like, I was trying to get my friend into detox last week after I got off of PodTox. Hours and hours and hours of going back and forth, calls, this, that. She got to the point where it was like too much, and we stopped.
You also picked the worst possible time because
The
around,
holidays,
yeah,
right?
around the
It's
holidays and
and
New
that's
Year's.
why people are so stressed out because people don't they don't have anybody to turn to, and they're bottling it all up
Yeah.
inside.
Right. And again, I try and make this very clear every time. It is not just dudes doing this. It is not just women doing this. It is people. It doesn't matter if you're guy, girl, both, other, fucking refrigerator. I don't know what the hell you identify as. It doesn't matter what you are. It's everybody doing this type of thing. And it's a lot of times it looks a little bit different depending on like if it is a guy or a girl or whatever, but the end result is turning out the same no matter who it is. And that is the scary thing in mental health. 1,000%. The holidays are always the hardest because there's so much going on in the holidays that mental strain is just wow. But at the same time, like that many people are breaking. If that many people are breaking because of holidays, they were having serious, serious issues beforehand, even.
You just don't decide to do that one day. Like that's
Not
methodically
usually.
planned out. Or sometimes it just impulse.
It's something I'm not really sure why mental health is kind of going downhill so much when the accessibility, yes, all the resources are not like the most easily accessible things, but there are so many ways you can work on your mental health now.
But let me tell you,
Sure.
last week when I tried to do this with my friend, and because I'm already involved in these things, when you're reaching out and you're looking for help, the door was slammed so many times. The phone, listen, we were on the phone, then the phone, we would be on with somebody for like an hour, and
Sure.
then the call would drop. And then you'd call back, and the number would be busy. And this person is mentally hanging by a string saying, you know what, fuck this at this point, I'm done.
I get what you're saying, 1,000%. I'm not so much talking about just addiction because
No,
it,
me either. I'm talking about mental health as well. Like, so, like those places are like crisis lines. We were getting hung up on
oh,
a
sure.
crisis line. Like that should not happen. You should not be calling crisis and be on the phone for an hour with someone, and then the call drops, and then they don't return, and then they don't call you back. And calling crisis and getting hung up on, and hearing the phone busy when you're trying to call. I even got up on the phone because my friend was so annoyed. She's like, I'm trying my hardest. I just want to give up. And I'm like, please, no, don't give
Right.
up. Like, you cannot give up. And hearing that when I called, the number was busy. I've never called a phone and heard a busy signal in years.
It's the holidays. And
Like,
think of,
what?
but think about this too. How hard is it to get employees nowadays? I mean, you can want these services to be available all the time, But if they can't get more than two people to show up for work, I mean, it's the holidays. They're going to get jam packed.
They should have, but this is mental health. They should that should be a priority, and they should have people working around the clock at home around the clock because guess what? It is that important, life or death.
But they do. They have their people, however many people they have their people working those crazy hours around the clock, but they don't have enough
They
because
don't have enough. You're right, and
there's
that's where the
people.
system's flawed. And look at all these issues of people doing these, even like behind the vehicle
Yeah.
situations,
Yeah.
often people
hmm
like, where do you get that in your head one day that that's what you're going to go do?
My argument for all of this, because yes, I agree with what you're saying. It is ridiculous to navigate. I'm not even focused on that part because once you're at that point, it's someone failed somewhere along the way because by the time you get to that point, you've been struggling for a while. Why are people not taking advantage whenever it is first presenting, when they're first starting to have issues?
Because they don't, that because there's a person in the relationship that doesn't think that they have issues.
Sure.
The other person doesn't see what you're seeing. So to them, there's no issues. And a lot of times that is the problem.
And that's unhealthy relationships and stuff like that. I mean, that's 100%.
But I feel like that's very normal this day and age.
It's starting to be. Yeah, because
I, it, there's a lot of women that I've talked to that have issues like that and
yeah,
feel alone. And it's sad because honestly, it is a lonely place to be. And it's like you keep talking, but nothing's
nothing's
getting
going
hurt.
on.
Right.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's part of this social media culture, and then also like the online dating, not really getting to know people the same way before you end up going out with someone and being with someone? Social media takes away a lot of the time and attention that a partner may use to focus on the other person. I mean, do you think it is all of that type of thing? Or do you think it is just a decline of the way people are going?
I just feel like it depends on the person, to be honest with you.
Sure,
Like,
sure. And that's, I just mean generically. Like, do you feel like you're seeing it a lot? Because I think a lot of guys in general are, so guys are more susceptible to getting stuck on, like, they have ADHD. A lot of guys have ADHD. So they're more susceptible to get stuck on their phone and be on social media. Now they aren't doing anything wrong, but they're so busy on the electronics and with the toys and all types of stuff that it's taking away from that time with their partner. And at the same time, for women, it's easier for them. Well, I'm not getting the attention at home, so I may not go out and cheat, but I'm going to sit here and flirt with some other dude. And then that disconnect just slowly starts to build.
I don't know. I feel like it does happen, but it just depends, like on the situation. But I agree
Yes.
with you.
It's still the fact that it's coming out to where we kind of went from one end of the spectrum to the other. The things that I'm talking about are very, very basic, like relationship issues and stuff like that. And yet it's translating to people unaliving their partners and all types of stuff all over the
Well,
place.
I think that that's like next level mental health issues. Like,
Right, right.
and there had to be signs. Like, for instance, the Jennifer Shetfield incident. I
Mhm.
heard that her husband's Facebook and social media shows that he was mentally unstable, like had pew pews and like very loud about it, and where people went to his Facebook and were like, "Oh my God, we see how this could happen."
I feel like people also try and read into stuff like that a lot. Um, because
You're right.
depending on where you're from and how you grew up, that may be a very normal thing and it means nothing. In his mental health like situation, it's just a normal thing because of where he grew up, how he grew up,
Well, it wasn't only that, it was like some of his video choices and stuff like
Sure,
that. Like
sure.
they saw something dysfunctional on there.
I wanted to mention real quick, D said I bought my husband a PlayStation. Now that's all he does. Can we talk about that real quick?
I
As
got a son that's playing one right this second. So, I mean,
and as a kid, it's a little. I think it does kind of stem from, if you do it a lot as a kid, it kind of transitions into adulthood in some cases, which is why I think it's. I've seen multiple things saying that like so many husbands and adult men and even women are playing video games nowadays, and it's like, yeah, that's because there's been a chance to grow up with that stuff, so it's kind of been a lifelong thing that they've been a gamer. Now, I will say I put work and family first, and I don't have the time that I would like to play games. But when I'm at home and I have nothing to do, which doesn't happen that often, but when I got nothing to do, I will sit there and I will turn on my game and I'll play for a little bit. And Shannon and I had to have this communication because she used to think whenever I turned on my game, it meant like, hey, don't bug me or talk to me or whatever, which I may feel like that sometimes.
because you get into a zone and you don't even realize that you're in that zone. My
Uh,
son does that a lot. Like I'll be calling his name and he doesn't even hear me. He's like so
no,
focused on the game.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about before I even get on the game, I'm getting on the game to unwind.
Right.
So she thought that it was kind of like that every single time. And I had to explain to her, no, I'm just like, this is something very easy to do that I enjoy. So while nothing else is going on, I'm just playing my game. If that, if you want to come up to me and talk to me and you want to do something, you want me to help with whatever, just say so. Like, it doesn't affect me at all to stop what I'm doing and go help. I'm
Right.
literally just doing this to fill my time with something that I enjoy.
Right.
So it's in I had to kind of make the connection with her because Shan likes to get on her phone all the time, and I was like, you get on your phone all the time because that's what you do when you're just sitting and not really anything's going on.
Right.
It's the same thing. Mine just takes more, like I'm doing more things at one time. So it's some guys, don't be afraid if you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. If your partner plays a game and it's in excess and you feel like it's taking away from the relationship, one, don't be afraid to say something. But while he's playing, see how he reacts. If you just go up and you're just like, hey, let's do this, or just talk to him. Like, it doesn't have to be making plans and all types of stuff. This while he's playing the game, talk to him. Now, if he's online with his homies and all that, it gets a little rough. You might have to actually tell them to stop playing. Hey, spend time with me. And I guarantee you a lot of them will. They're just doing that, for a bit.
See, this is how I think this generation grew up. I feel like everything has to be quick. Like
Yeah.
it's training the kids that like my kids can't sit and watch an hour long movie because they're
Sure.
used to a 1 minute video. Swipe YouTube shorts. They love YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
And it's that quick, like flick, flick, flick. They can't sit there and watch something consistently. It's hard for them to focus.
I don't believe that's video games, though. I think that because video games, uh, there's so much cognitive function along with hand-eye coordination. There's all types of like mental studies
Now
that
I feel like you're trying to stick up for my son when I want him off the game. Like,
it's also different whenever it's a kid though, but that is not because of video games. That is because of the nature of social media, because social media with COVID exploded even more than it already was. And
right,
while COVID was happening, it's reels on Instagram, it's TikTok, it's YouTube shorts, it's all this short form content that's coming out while people are just sitting there and digesting. And after you're sitting there for, months and months and months in your house, not doing anything else, and you're just scrolling, once you start watching that short form all the time, that's what you want. And it,
And that's
yeah.
how I am. I need that like quick, like I don't want to sit there. I can't focus for a long period of time. I'm like real quick. Like everything got to be quick with me.
I, I love long form. I like if
Like if somebody wanted to take me on a date to the movies, I would tell them no.
see,
Nope.
I'm not a big fan.
I couldn't watch it.
I'm not a big fan of TikTok, to be honest. Like I do not sit and
I
scroll.
love TikTok. I
I
love
know
TikTok. Sorry.
I am not. I don't feel like I have a super short attention span. I can focus on a task very well. So it never picked up for me. Like I like listening to podcasts. I like watching. If I'm gonna like get on YouTube and watch something, I want a 30 to 45 minute, really good, well thought out video where you're teaching me something. I'll go watch a damn documentary because I want to learn.
See, I can't focus that long at all.
Oh, that's
Nope.
crazy.
I can't.
What how long do you think is too long for a video for you?
Like 5 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes might actually be where my maximum brain is, and then I'm done.
Really? Even if it's something
Swear.
interesting like
No, the only thing that I could watch is reality TV. I can watch like Real Housewives and stuff like that. I do
ugh,
like reality TV, but other than that,
that's
I
garbage.
can't. That's what I love. I love garbage, dude.
Because whenever you sit down and watch it,
Garbage is what's good. That's wholesome to me.
wholesome. Oh, that's not the right
Yes.
word. No, 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 don't say that. So whenever you sit down and watch TV and stuff, you sit down so you can be entertained. You
No,
aren't
I'm
looking for,
bored. That's boring to me watching TV. Like I hate watching
but
TV.
like Real Housewife stuff.
Sometimes, yeah, like I would say maybe a 30-minute max.
Really? So
Yeah, I'm
your
horrible.
your long form is 30-minute max and your short has to be 3 and under?
Actually, it might be less than three. I get bored.
Homie, that's bad.
I know.
You got so okay, so that's you who hasn't grown up with this. You just fell into this trap, probably especially during COVID. So think about the kids who are still developing and learning, and they haven't figured out all the things they like and been able to adapt to multiple different things. So this is just like all they're being fed. That's the problem.
I mean, the kids now, it's like I feel like if I brought my kids to the movies right now, it would be a waste of money. They would be all over the place. They wouldn't sit still. Like
Oh hell no.
no one would focus. But maybe that's just me, my kids. I mean, Kyle, you know how hard it is for me to even do this hour.
You got to start like trying to get them to sit down for something. Just once, maybe twice a
Right.
week.
We've been actually, you know what we've been doing? Believe it or not, sitting down coloring
Okay, that's
together.
not bad. How long you
And
do
it's
that for?
therapeutic because you know what we do? I'll say, like, we'll pick one thing, pick one object, and everyone draw it, but nobody could see what the other person's drawing.
Sure.
And let's see what it looks like in the end. Because everyone's is a completely different version. And I thought it was cool. So we kept
Okay.
doing that over and over. And it was like, became a competition.
How long do you do that for whenever you sit down?
We were doing it for like a good hour.
That's not bad. Okay. Are they all sitting there for an hour though, or are you
Yep.
sitting there for an
Nope.
hour?
Everyone
Okay.
was competing and doing it. And that's what I loved about it.
How many times have you done that?
I've done it twice so far on
Okay.
Christmas break.
That's what it is. Okay, you just haven't done it enough yet. I would
Right.
do that like twice a week. Seriously, I'm talking twice a week. Hey, this is going to be a thing Monday and Thursday. Whoever wins and has the best doesn't have to do chores for these next 3 days. That's the reward. And just keep running it because then, one, it gives them motivation to actually do it. And that is twice a week where they're spending a full hour just doing one thing and sitting and being.
And honestly, I have to say, coloring is super therapeutic, even for an
Yeah.
adult. Like I was having so much fun shading things in because they got like these art sets from Santa and they had like you could put it
Fancy.
like the paper.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Yep.
those binders that have all the things.
Yep.
So we were getting like down and dirty with it. Like we were shading things in and everyone's was different. But I just like how, like, all right, look at this soda can. I want to see what your version is, your version, your version, your version, and your version. Like, how do you perceive the can? And then draw it.
You should check out, and actually I'm going to recommend this to everybody on here because this dude is awesome. The only thing that I've really even paid attention to on TikTok, there's this guy Tevin, I can't remember his actual name on here, but he does drawings on live, and they're like a 3D drawing, and he teaches like shading, just all the things and how to draw his way, and he is phenomenal. His voice is very soothing. He's cool as shit, very respectful, very kid friendly and stuff. I'm gonna try and find him because so I can put him out there because I promise you, you will not regret finding this dude. If you put in the search like 3D drawings or something, I guarantee you could find him. He's awesome.
You know what my kids do like doing though? They like going on YouTube and watching those videos of like how to draw an object. It'll show you like
Yeah,
step by step through the video how to draw something. And they were doing that a lot during Christmas break too.
that's good. Hey, it's a good skill. Yeah, I mean
Right.
it's an awesome skill. Drawing is always a good thing to practice. I can't
Plus, it's
draw.
something good to do together.
Right. I
That's
can't.
why I was really trying to do it so that we could do it together.
Right. And that's the other beneficial thing of it. You're getting that family time where everybody
Right.
is.
Putting my phone down. Like
Right.
I put my phone completely on the other side of the house
Yep.
and sat with them. And we did that and we had fun. And we did it multiple times.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Okay. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about, give another shout out on here. If you do not know who Yes Theory is, they're on everything now, but they started out on YouTube, and they are a couple of like there's a Swedish dude, a dude from I want to say he's like Iran or something. I don't know. But they're from different parts of the world. They're all one channel, and they do things like travel to the poorest country in the world and figure out what's going on there, what things are like. Travel to the cleanest place. They just did a thing, which is what we're going to talk about. They traveled to the most obese city in America, and they were trying to figure out why. Why is the obesity rate so high there? What's going on, and what is different about this place compared to everybody else? So the city itself, I want to say it's McAllen, yeah, McAllen, Texas, and they are rated the most obese city in the U.S. Whenever they went there, they're starting to do all this stuff where they're just trying to like interview people and figure out what makes this place different.
Right.
And they throughout the video learned it's not really just McAllen. Part of it is the poverty rate there is a little bit higher. There's like for every 10,000 people, there are 6 fast food restaurants in the area.
See, that's the problem. You drive somewhere and it is saturated with fast food places everywhere.
And this is kind of one of the things that they noticed whenever they started exploring the US as a whole. You notice that whenever you go into any town, you go into the richer-ish neighborhoods, you won't have quite that proximity to the fast food places. They won't be right there. They'll be a
Right.
mile or two away. You go into the poorer areas of town. Oh, why are there like 3 freaking fast food places in the middle of this neighborhood? Like that one's damn near out of homie's garage. Like the poorer the area, the more fast food they're going to put there because it's cheaper. And they can take advantage of these people are broke, they can't afford to eat healthy. You try and go to the grocery store and get health food, you're still going to spend more than you would going through a drive-through nowadays. Like,
Like I remember I was on a healthy bender for a while, and when I was on like my weight loss journey, I
mhm,
was eating all organic. I was eating so clean.
mhm.
My bill at the end of checking out was like always way more because of that. Like I had to have certain foods. I was eating so clean, but now I eat like trash.
So on average, and this was some stats that I was looking up. So on average, if you're going to eat healthy, it is going to be 38% more expensive.
A lot of people that live in certain like lower class areas, like middle and lower class,
Mhm.
might need assistance or on assistance. So the price of that food, first of all, the, the, they're getting less for their
Right.
money because
Right.
of that, and that's not fair.
I could argue that yes, they would be getting less of the healthy, but at the same time, when that motherfucker just bought 20 Snickers, get out of here. Because you know how much you
There
see
are
that.
people that abuse it, but then there are people that really truly
Yep.
like. I know, Kyle, when I'm spending a week on last week just alone in groceries, I spent $750.
See, and that's also ridiculous. You spend a
Right,
lot of money.
right.
Where
On groceries that guess what? They're gone. Because now my kids are like, but it's the truth. It's like I go in the grocery store and I try to lead the way, like have certain meals planned out in my head. And then the kids are like, Mom, please. And I give in
that's the
I
thing.
might need to just like
It's
I've never done online shopping, believe it or not.
me and you are gonna work on that because seriously, you are spending so much money.
Put it to you this way. I spent more money in groceries than I had come. Like I already spent my money for the month in like 3 days that
You
I get coming in.
For your family size, you should be able to spend about 300, maybe 350 a week easily.
Nope. I do that every 2 days.
That's because the way you're doing it though. I'm telling you, me and you got
I
to work
need
on
to get
that.
hooked up with like one of them coupon people because I don't know why every time I go to the grocery store it's like 250 and I'm going every other day. One of the reasons why I was a little excessive was because of the holidays. And I was really trying my hardest to make sure that the kids had like all kinds of like special things. I have 4 kids and I just wanted to try to make it like cookies and like the little special sparkling wine.
So all of this to say, because yes, I have 4 kids too. It's expensive to feed these damn kids. I get it, but there are a lot of different ways to go about this. But so all this stuff is all of those snacks and everything. Those are actually cheaper than the healthy foods. And whenever you go
Right.
into the grocery store and you go to, look around, try and find your food, all that stuff, and figure out what's healthy, it's almost impossible to know nowadays because I think the percentage was 65% of the grocery store is ultra processed foods. Ultra processed. That means they're so processed that they are literally like unaliving you slowly while you eat them.
And that's the stuff that my kids always want to put in the cart. They want the cupcakes, they want the cookies,
Yeah.
they have to have the
Yep.
ice cream, the milk.
But they use that. The companies that make this stuff, the food science people that design all this and put all this extra bullshit in that stuff, they do that on purpose. They make it addictive because they want your kids to grow up eating like this. Because if they grow up eating like this, they won't know what healthy is. And they will, whenever they get older, they will still eat the same and then they'll feed their kids the same way. And whenever that happens, it causes that reoccurring predisposition to heart disease, high blood pressure,
Diabetes.
just diabetes, all types of things. And it's a never ending cycle. And that's kind of the thing that they got into because they were just like, this is a literal epidemic, and there are people uh, that are fighting for it and trying to change things. Because one of the other big things that they talked about was school lunch. You know how unhealthy school lunch is?
I have to say, my kids' school lunch, I they come home with like it's weird, but they bring home like bags of like cut up broccoli, cut up peppers, like weird fruit, things of fruit, and I'm like, wow, your school gives out healthy stuff. Like it impressed me the stuff that they were coming back with.
So they have to some degree. There has to be a certain amount. So they'll get that one bag of something healthy. Even the bag stuff, though, like that stuff is pre-packaged. It's not like the peppers that you're going to get in a bag that's going to a school. It's not the same peppers that you would just pull off the vine. There's all types of just little stuff like that. And so you get that one healthy thing, and then you're also getting chicken nuggets and some juice that's been processed 30 times and is nasty. Like there are so many things to it, and this is our future, but they get all the cheap stuff because schools don't make enough money. It's There's all these programs that get them like lobbyists make sure that the schools use certain types of products, all types of things. So we are literally doing it to our own kids in school when we go to the grocery store and everything.
When I was on my healthy journey, though, like I taught my kids, like, you know what? I would say to them, why don't you pick a different choice if they were going to grab chips? Why don't you have some? I'll cut you up some strawberries.
Sure.
I'll cut you up some like I'll try to switch it on them, and my girls will usually say yes.
Even me, cause I did this to myself because I've been trying to eat healthier. As I have been trying to eat healthier, I've kind of been looking at some of the stuff that is healthy that I'm trying to eat. You go into a grocery store, you notice how like everything like I don't want to throw the name of too many things out there. Everything like Cheerios, we'll use that as an example. Big heart on the box. Cheerios are extremely unhealthy for you. They don't actually they're better than I guess like pure sugar or whatever, but it's still the same thing because all these really unhealthy foods, they're nice and colorful and they have the heart and they say good for cholesterol, all this stuff. They don't actually help with any of that. They just aren't quite as bad as the box right next to
Well,
them.
let me tell you something. All the other boxes next to it is sugar galore. Like I
But it's all the
there's
same
so many
shit.
crazy cereals this day and age. It's like too much. I
Yeah,
feel like, oh,
but that's the thing. It is all the same shit. It literally means almost nothing whether you get Cheerios or Fruity Pebbles. It does
right.
it barely matters. Now, you go over to the health food section. You go over to, wherever. All the things that are actually healthy don't need to make those claims. And you look at the ingredients and it's like six, seven things. Is it going to taste the same? No. Is it going to taste as good? No, it's probably not.
When I was on my weight loss journey, I would try like little things and I was getting like protein bars and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
they would
Yep.
taste nasty. And
Yep.
then sometimes I would get ones and they'd be like, eh.
Yeah.
But and they're expensive. So it's like, you're like, damn, now I got to eat the whole box and it tasted like shit.
Well, so this is a big thing in the U.S. specifically too, because a lot of people that come to the U.S., one of the biggest things that they struggle with is the food because it's
Right.
so accessible, it's so much cheaper. You go to Japan, the food they feed in their like school cafeterias is just really, really home cooked, all fresh, healthy foods, almost none of it processed. And
Wow.
it's because they are actually trying to take care of their kids and their youth and the future of their country. And it's just crazy how different some of that stuff is compared to how things are. And it's because in a lot of those countries, the financial gain isn't quite the same for some of the like businesses that are involved. The US and the medical system and the all the food companies have the most lobbyists. It's the most people trying to fight to make sure that they are getting pushed out. And
Right.
there have been laws. I think like 2008 is whenever it really started to get bad. But there have been laws made basically saying one of the big ones I remember was the pizza one. You only need like 2 tablespoons of sauce on your pizza so that that's enough for their vegetable for the day because the sauce is tomatoes. And in other countries, you go out to eat, you go get some fast food, it's probably going to be like double the price of what it would take for home cooked food, for healthy
Wow.
home cooked food.
Right.
So it is crazy. I encourage everybody to go watch that video. Just go look up Yes Theory. And it's really recent. It was one of the ones that they just did. I promise you, you will be blown away.
Plus, I know that area in Texas is where that doctor that did the 1,000 pound sisters. Am I saying it correct?
Mhm. It's and shoot, 600 pound life and all that. The
Yeah,
Dr.
right.
Nisetski or whatever his name is.
And they all had
Um,
to travel to Texas to go see him and meet him.
yeah, it's just it's crazy. I don't know what can be done short of literally parents as a whole getting together and trying to figure out what to do with schools. I feel like that is a big place where it could start, where if we could feed our kids very healthy in schools, I think it would make a big difference. It just getting to that point would take mass change. And unfortunately, I don't want to say people don't care about their kids enough because that's not necessarily true. People do not understand enough about what healthy is to lead that fight in the proper direction.
Right. Or people have so many other things like myself. Like I'm
Mhm.
so overwhelmed all the time anyway. That would be the last thing that I would have time to do. Go look at ingredients.
Because it's like I can't go fight the good fight. I can barely get anything. I can't even
Yeah.
put
I
clothes on my
can't keep my
kids.
head above the water.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Right.
that's another part of it. The poor and middle class is meant to just be stuck down here. You go to a private school because guess what? We were springing the money to have the youngest in private school. We did that for her first couple years of school, and it was expensive. And I'm
Right.
fuck. It was a lot of money, but
And what made you choose to reverse that?
so we didn't. We actually wanted to keep her there, and we were just going to keep figuring it out because we were making it work. But on top of the 300 and I want to say it was $327 a week for private school,
Wow.
we did not donate enough on top of it. We didn't donate enough extra money, so they didn't accept us back.
See, I can't deal with stuff like that. No, no,
So
too uppity.
and then we tried switching to a different private school because there's only a couple options around here for her
Right.
age. Tried switching to another private school, and they had so many kids that the siblings were already there. They didn't accept any new students that year
Right.
except for siblings.
That's how my kids' school is. They prioritize siblings to make sure that they
Mhm.
all get in there. Then they open up like a raffle for other kids.
But everybody's having multiple kids. So it's
Right.
everybody's got their siblings in there. It's just, yeah. So we tried sending her to all of the public schools around here. There's one that is very good. It is a bilingual school where they start off teaching in 90% Spanish in kindergarten and kind of keep it going so that they grow up learning Spanish as well as the English and everything.
My kids know so much Spanish. It's like they sing songs and everything. And I'm like, because of the school, they go to a private school.
Well, and I really wanted her to get in that. She did not get in. You have no choice on what school they go to. We were closest to that school, so it should have been that one, but
Right.
she did not get into that school. And when I asked why, I was told straight up, and I kind of appreciated it. She's white. That's why she didn't get in, because she is white.
Wow.
Yeah, they were very honest, and like they said, it's everybody else gets priority.
Wow.
Yep.
That
So
is that is something to come out of their mouth that I would have been like, "What?"
I get it. It's because of the type of school it is. It's because they first there are a couple of things I agree with. Obviously, some of the kids going in there are already Spanish speaking or a different language, so it kind of helps bridge a gap a little bit. In that I understand. Every kid like that should get in there first. 1,000% agree. But everything
Right.
else should be based on like testing or proximity. If that's really what you want to base all your other schools off of, except for this one, why is this one not a proximity school? Because we are
Right.
closest to the school, and then the one she's at is a little bit farther away.
And that's how it usually goes. The closest one would be the one that you would be in like your district or whatever.
Yep. It is crazy. And we were like, I did everything I can. My only other option would have been homeschool because there was nothing else because we don't make enough to spend more than $1,200 a month on private school. And we like we're not anything that they're looking for. You know what I mean? The only
Yeah,
thing
you're not the demographic. That's the
right.
word. You're not their demographic.
The only thing she had going for her was she was female. That was the good thing for her, but it wasn't enough. So
Well, then you
it's
know what? I look at it like this. It wasn't the right fit because if they're going to be like that from the jump, even if they did call you with like, "Oh, we have an opening." I would be like, "You know what?
nah,
Nope."
fuck it. I want her to go there. I can swallow my pride to send her to a good school. I swallowed all that
You think
money.
it's better?
Yeah, I do. I a
Well, okay, if
thousand
you think
percent.
it's better.
It's the curriculum, the way they teach everything. I know it's better because I know some people that their kids go there.
Okay.
And that's not to say the school she goes to now, her teachers have been fantastic. I mean, they've been
That's
great.
amazing.
Part of the problem is, and I don't mean to put it like this, but part of the problem is her peers. Her peers, she was well above them, and now she has a lot of kids that are struggling around her, and she is not being challenged enough. And that is the same thing that happened with Talon. And then Jackson was in a small town, and
Right.
it just they were failed so much. I was adamant that it was not going to happen with her, and
That's how my kids were. When Vid a few years ago
mhm,
came and got everyone and there was no school, after that, the school literally just passed my kids along. Literally, they should have been held back that year, in my opinion. All
sure,
children and
sure,
schools should have been halted and then restart the school year as a brand new school year because those kids didn't get the education that they truly deserved.
yeah,
That's my personal opinion.
I agree because that's
And that's why they're behind. And that's why they're seeing a trend now. Like I just
right.
did an IEP meeting for I've done I've been at the school for like all four of my kids for IEP meetings recently and it's like they said so many kids are struggling right now. And it's because of a few years ago like they literally didn't get what they needed at that developmental time in their life.
So I agree. Yes, that had a huge impact. That is not the reason why. Um, to give you an example, so Talon, again, he wasn't going to school at all, hasn't gone to school hardly at all for
Right?
5, 6 years now, and he was allowed to enter a GED program and graduate doing almost no work and graduate a year and a half ahead of his class with
What?
he didn't get a GED. He got his full diploma. So he got to do none of the work and get through it early.
That's horrible. That's a
It's
failure right there.
that, but that's what they just push him through. They get him.
Right. That's like my kids. That's why even like there, I have to go back and argue with the school again. I'm bringing my son's therapist to the meeting at this point because he's struggling, and the
Mhm.
stress alone of just going to school. I didn't know how stressful school has been for him lately. And
Right.
he literally broke down the other day. And I was like, wow. I didn't realize like the testing and stuff like that, having that pressure when you're already have ADHD and you're struggling to
It's
focus.
hard.
They only have a certain amount of time to take tests, and then the clock stops. It's on a computer. And he doesn't have enough time to do it because he can't get it done in that amount of time. And he's failing over it. And it's literally making him irritable.
ADHD is not quite the same as some of the things that I'm thinking of, but that is one of the reasons why I don't like that they combined classes with like special needs and stuff like that. They don't have a separate class anymore, and it's ADHD is not that, but at the same time, I feel like we still have to hold kids accountable despite what's going on, but at the same time, there has to be something in place for like medical issues. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that,
Absolutely.
it has to be slightly altered for people with medical issues, which is why there are the IEPs and stuff like that. I just don't think it's enough anymore. But at the same time, we have to balance that with holding people accountable. So it's hard. It's which I understand from the school perspective. You're making no money funding wise from the state. You're overcrowded. Your teachers are overworked, and you're trying to solve extra problems. Hell, I'm just trying to teach my kids 1 plus 1. You know what I mean? So it's just an overall failure, and it's slowly getting worse.
Even like my daughter, she was born in 2019, and then that happened. So like when
Hmm.
she was a baby that was isolated. Like
Hmm.
we weren't
I was
outside as
raised.
much. We weren't at the store as much. I didn't go to the grocery store like I did with the other kids. So she was sheltered more.
Yeah.
I just see a difference because of that. I already see it.
Yeah. Carson is extremely shy, and I
Right.
feel like that's why. Because whenever COVID started, she was 2, so it was like she was just starting to get that functional. I'm exploring the world space, and then she was isolated like the rest of the
And
kids.
then having to put on a mask as a baby because I remember like when my little one got to the point where there was a point where they didn't have to wear them, but then at a certain age they did.
Hmm.
And then like from that point on, it's hard to be like, no, now I'm covering your face up with this thing. Like,
Yeah.
right,
Yep. Yeah, I
no
don't know
fun,
how
no
this is.
fun.
I feel like this is one we could go on about forever, but I think we should call it at that. We
Sure.
ran a little late. I don't want to run too late in case the kids go crazy, but we love you all. Thank you guys. We will see you next time.